clear the state of Vajradhara. Let's do the four immeasurables. 1 sec. Okay, put that there. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be affected by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friend and enemy. Sem jentam je dewatang dewe jutang den pa juche. Dungal tang, dungal chichu tang trawa juchik, dungal mepe dewa tampa tang minrawa juchik, nearing chak tang ni tang trawe tanu chempola ni pa juchik. So, good morning, everybody. And it is a crazy time in my life, but by the time you see me next, I'll be fully settled and normal. And I just had a funny thought the other day, which was quite interesting. I was sitting and I actually said to Guru Rinpoche when I was sitting and doing my meditation, oh, well, now I'm going to the final home. And then I heard this voice distinctly say, no, you're going to be going to your final home. Just a very strong thought. So I don't know when that'll be. It could be another 10, 15 years, could be one, I don't know. But it was very interesting because I had this strong feeling of actually going home. And I thought it's a very, very interesting thing because going home, what is going home? Any home here, thanks, God. Any home here is just a temporary home, no matter if it's your last or your first or whatever. And going home is eventually when you actually go home. For me, that's back to Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land, and we're going to talk about that in these teachings. So today we're doing realizing the truth of what deep practice reveals to us, which is part 3. And then I think we'll just do a part 4 of this, and then we'll go on to something else. So we'll do that probably in 3 weeks or whatever the case is. If I can, I'll do it sooner. Let me just see how everything goes. But I wanted to say is, what I realize in the teaching with a lot of people, that if I sit and have an informal chat about life and a bit of applying the Dharma, then people sit up and are involved because it's about ourself. Our own self. That's what it's about. When you start trying to realize the true nature of our lives, of ourselves, we kind of have to leave ourselves and the whole life behind and go beyond. And what I realize is that it's very, very, very hard to do that because we're so attached to samsara, we're so attached to our life, we're so attached to everything in our lives, okay? And my role is twofold: to relate very well to samsara so that I can explain it, but also go beyond, go beyond, go beyond. And Gail, when I was writing that out, I just thought of your little face, you know, concentrating like anything. And it's so difficult because it does take so much time and so much pondering. Your face just plopped up in my head, you know. Those strange things do happen to me because I think of you concentrating and then I say, do you want to say anything? And then you go, no, there's plenty to ponder. There's plenty to think about. I've got nothing more to add to it, you know, which I really understand. But what I want you all to do is, and the others will catch up. I know Nicola's in Spain. People are all over the place at the moment. But my series on Tuesday on that Buddhism versus Western psychology, please watch that during this time period, because it keeps going back to how humans operate. And, you know, I got this amazing vision one morning as I was waking up. I just had it. And then I thought, I opened my eyes and I thought, how am I going to explain this? And then it just plopped in the most beautiful way for me to explain it. So I'm going to explain it tomorrow night. I won't explain it here at this point, because I think that when you understand how the levels of consciousness operate, when you begin to understand from the human level, you could say going up, but maybe it's going down and deeper, right up to primordial consciousness, which I've done the one series, but this is going to be different. So please get the YouTubes if you can't come. But I think, the morning group, I really want to try and take a leap, because I think it's really important to take a leap, and don't get despondent when you can't exactly understand even what Nosho Kempo is saying, because it can take lifetimes, okay? And when you begin to understand cosmology, now what I've done is I've taken Tulku Urgent's real explanation, and I've summarized his explanation on cosmology. You suddenly realize how the human real, the planet, this whole dimension is like one little grain of sand. It's absolutely pathetic. Now, when we come to do Nosho Kempo's teaching this morning, I'm going to take the cosmology at the same time, and I'm going to throw it to you. And what I want to say is that when Yeshe Tsogyo was taught this by Guru Rinpoche, she fainted. So if any of you faint, I can't get you up. But you know what I realize? I realize how little we know, just how little we know, and how we see this planet. I really play with the planet in my prayers and everything. I mean, Tulku Urgent says, when you do your prayers, at least do it for one of the billion-fold world systems, the billion-fold world systems. So this is one little world system of the billion-fold world systems of millions of billion-fold world systems, just to give you a little idea. I mean, so I know that I always say with Ekong Rinpoche, I always say, may his work actually, go to the 100-fold universe or the 100-fold world system or whatever the case is. But actually, Tulku Urgent's asking us to make our prayers for the billion-fold, at least, universe or world system. Just to give you an idea, because we're so small, we're so little, we're so pathetic in many ways of what we think about ourselves. So it's really, really important. So when you do the leap, when you go to the higher teachings of Vajrayana, and then you get to the Dzogchen eventually, Lama Lena says, if we're still analyzing, I certainly am, searching, probing, conceptualizing, then we're not done. We're not ready. For Dzogchen, we must be done with all of that, or you could do a gradual path. Now, this is something I'm throwing at you, because I know for me that I started on a really gradual path with Buddhism. In fact, I started before Buddhism, but I started on a very gradual path with Buddhism. And eventually, my Buddha nature took over in the request I made when I went to India that time for 6 months. My Buddha nature took over, and I didn't know what I was asking for. But as soon as it was explained to me by a master, then I thought, that's it. I don't want to go back and do all these things, but I've got to remember all the time that what Guru Rinpoche wants me to do is not jump over and stay there. That's why he's making it hard for me, but to stay with a real foot in samsara. And that's what I really need to do for the sake of people. I really need to do that. And so I'm trying to do that on a Tuesday which is a little different to what the Monday morning is, but you can all go and listen and get whatever you can if you can't come. It's really important. Okay, but just to say, if you look, let me first do a little story, and it goes like this. One of the devotees in the temple was well known for his zealousness and effort. Day and night he would sit in meditation, not stopping even to eat or sleep. As time passed, he grew thinner and more exhausted. The master of the temple advised him to slow down, to take more care of himself. But the devotee refused to heed his advice. Why are you rushing so? What is your hurry? Asked the master. I'm after enlightenment, replied the devotee. There's no time to waste. And the master said, well, how do you know that enlightenment is running on before you? So you've got to rush after it. Perhaps it is behind you, and all you need to encounter it is to stand still, but you are running away from it. Now, it is that absolute stillness when we can just be in the moment that is where we can have a chance to recognize. When you're analyzing and probing and doing all of that, you definitely can't. And just to take one of the main beautiful developmental stage of Tara practice, when you go tam, that's the seed syllable, the samadhi of the seed syllable. And then in English it goes, and whenever I do this, I'm always really, I try and look at the sky as much as possible. And I'm very happy to say that in my new shrine room, I've also got a full view of the sky. It helps a lot. The unborn clear light expanse of the Dharmakaya arises as the unobstructed jnana body of the Arya, that's Tara, as the network of manifestations, whatever will tame beings. Come here, Arya Tara, come here, Arya Tara. So when you look at that, that's the story of what our whole life is about. And that's what Nosho Kempo is doing with the three kayas. I want to come to your pictures as well, Boone. But with the three kayas, he is showing you, he's teaching each one so you really get to understand what these three kayas are. Once you understand the three kayas, you've got everything you actually need, the essence, the nature, and the manifestation. So with Tara, it is from this beautiful, clear light expanse of the Dharmakaya arises the unobstructed jnana body. That's the wisdom body. That's the Sambhogakaya. The wisdom body arises out of here, but the wisdom body can't be seen by most people. You have to have reached a particular level of development before you can see the Sambhogakaya. So as the unobstructed, but then as the network of manifestation. So from the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, the network of manifestations is the Nirmanakaya, whatever will tame beings. By taming beings is you asking people to wake up to who they really are. And that's her role with the Nirmanakaya. And I think that's very, very beautiful and very important, you know, in what we do. Because how we take refuge, you know, if we take refuge and we say, I take refuge, remember, in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. That's a perfectly acceptable refuge. But it's like all the religions. In the beginning, you go, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, the teaching, and in the Sangha, the beautiful amount of beings that are realized. When you go to the next level of refuge, you say, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Yidam, I take refuge in the Dakini. Now you're moving to an inner refuge. You're going to an inner, going beyond. You're actually going beyond Oh, Jade, that's you. Okay. Going beyond what you are understanding by the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You're going beyond that, okay? When you go the Guru, the Yidam Dakini. When you go to the final refuge, what you're doing is you're saying, Namo, in the empty essence, Dharmakaya, in the luminous nature, Sambhokakaya, in the manifold capacity near Manakaya, I take refuge until enlightenment. Now, when you do that, in the ultimate, all 9 are included in that. Everything is included in the 3 kayas that you have, everything, okay? Because everything originates from and within the 3 kayas, and everything is liberated and purified within the sphere of the 3 kayas. So when you begin to understand that, I do that refuge every day in the Dharmakaya, the Sambhokakaya, and the Niyamanakaya. It's so important because then you are really looking at the truth of who you are and what you are. Really, really important. And many different things actually teach it. And you know, what I'd like to do, maybe we could do this also separately, is Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche's Dzogchen key points. But I'm not going to do much today because I want to go straight on to Nosho Khenpo. But what he teaches in this article, blows my mind from the time I read it and made notes on it to this moment in time. I was looking this morning at all my notes. They've all got to be moved over. And one day when I die, one of you must come and burn them, okay? Because I want them to be burned and go to another dimension after all that effort of writing. But I have millions of notes that I take just so that I can always remember to give them to you. But he talks about the 2 aspects, the primordial purity, which is called kadak in Tibetan, and the spontaneous presence, which is called lundrup. Okay, he says mind's empty essence is related to primordial purity. The cognizant nature is related to spontaneous presence. That means it just naturally comes out from the Dharmakaya, naturally come out these other bodies for the sake of all beings. But they also go back into that body. So the Dharmakaya, the essence, is everything. And when he teaches this, I think I really should just do these notes for one session because I think it's so beautiful and so exciting and so much in it. I don't want to deviate now because I want to go to Nosho Khenpo's stuff because I really think that there's a lot there to learn and a lot to do. Okay, and I'm going to come to the cosmology in a minute, which is going to shock you, but let's do a little bit of him. But Bern found beautiful pictures of him. So show us the pictures of him because he's got that smile. You know, when people are enlightened, they have a smile that actually engages you. So show us those pictures you found. I'd really like, look at that. I mean, that's him. And have you ever seen a person so happy, used to sit and look in the sky for hours and hours? Bern, that's beautiful. Carry on. Absolutely beautiful. He's always smiling. You should see him. Oh, there he's not. There he's seriously doing his meditation. Okay. So as Wanyul Tanto, whatever his name is, Rinpoche said, he's a serious teacher as well, you know, that is his sky-gazing meditation. And there he wouldn't be smiling. He'd be totally in touch. And then when he gives it to his students, they've got to really, really, really concentrate, and he demands a very high standard of you. Jeez, I'd love that to have happened to me, that I sat under the feet of a master like that and got taught. I would love it. He reminds us, oh, this is his poem. So let's read it, Bern, go up. In this world, each minute of time, day and night, each instant is fleeting. Some are being born, some are dying, some are happy and some are miserable, some are crying and some laugh, and so on. Seeing all things are as impermanent as a flash of lightning. It's so sad to stay lax and unconcerned, assuming that you have attained the power of adamantine life and will live until Lord Maitreya's coming. So don't remain indifferent, my heart friends. The nature used to write these poems and sing them as songs to his disciples. The nature of everything is illusory and ephemeral. Those with dualistic perception regard suffering as happiness, like they who lick honey from the edge of a razor blade. How pitiful! They who cling strongly to concrete reality. Turn your attention within, my heart friends. When you are happy, everything seems very pleasant. When you're not, all is threatening and oppressive. Human moods are like the highlights and shadows on a sunlit mountain range. There's no one to depend upon in this time. So point your finger to yourselves, my heart friends. This free and well-endowed human life is like a wish-granting jewel. Don't return empty-handed from this island of jewels, my heart friend. That is beautiful. I didn't see that poem in the Lion's Roar. Must be one of his other ones. Vern, that's beautiful. I love that first one. And if you look at the pictures in the Lion's Roar, he's always, when he sits with his masters, he's got that grin on his face like he's in absolute heaven. He's a very special man. Anyone want to say anything before I go on with his teaching? Are you all okay? Okay, so let's go to the meaning of meditation deities. Okay, just remember, going back to Yeshe Tsogyal, that you can either do this pathway, boom, boom, boomies, 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 the 5 pathways of accumulation, joining, whatever, meditation, no more learning, there's one in between, unification, whatever it is, the 5 pathways. Or you can make a leap and go to creation and completion and really understand yourself as a deity coming out of the essence, okay? And really understand that everything comes out of the Dharmakaya, out of the essence. Or you could take another leaf, as she said, and realize the wisdom Lama. That's you. And the wisdom Lama incorporates all of that. It's not that you're leaving it out. You already got it when you do a leap. This is really up to you. I know that some of you are really serious on your spiritual path, and we're a small group today, which is fine. And it's really important for you to understand, what am I doing here? Where am I going? What am I doing? I was talking to my grandson, whose birthday is 8th birthday yesterday. He was about as interested in talking to me or telling me about anything as the man in the moon. Okay, I was trying my utmost to engage him. He was eating breakfast, looking at his presents, and quite frankly, what does this woman want? You know, what does she want from my life? Thanks, she's phoned me to say happy birthday. Very nice of her, but does he really have the time? Especially that I live far away from him, you know. When you're there, I'll give you a little time, kind of thing. But, you know, I'm happy those things happen, because then I realize that they don't belong to me, that this is all impermanent. I don't even live near them. So they can't come around when they're in trouble or anything like that. So basically, are they mine? Not really, not really, not really. They really aren't mine. And soon they'll be going and I'll be going, and then I'll be in another life completely. So it's a very important thing. But just to go back very briefly what we were saying last time, and then I'm going on. I'm just going to do this very quickly. A Buddha can be understood from the ultimate and the relative point of view. From the ultimate, it's coming downward from the Dharmakaya, as I said to you in Tara, coming downward to the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya, coming downward into the relative realms so that we can understand. The upward refers to progress on the Dharma path, going a step in each lifetime, or 2 steps, or 5 steps. Okay. And with a dualistic mind, our SEM, our ordinary mind, from the standpoint of the outer Buddha nature, Buddha Shakyamuni did his whole enlightenment thing to demonstrate for us, and he attained enlightenment at the outer Bodh Gaya place, where 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon are enlightened. But from the ultimate point of view, did he really go through all those phases to get enlightened? Definitely not. He was already enlightened. He was already Samantabhadra, who then manifested as this Buddha to go through everything so that we could see how to do it. And none of us have followed him, let's be honest. I mean, are any of us sitting? The only one I know that's followed him, Tati, is Lama Lena, okay, because she says in her thing, she sat under this tree like the Buddha, and she said, I'm not budging until I find my teacher, my true teacher. And she sat there and sat there and sat there. She didn't have food. She didn't have anything. She just sat there. She was determined. And eventually, a teacher came along and she asked, are you my teacher? They said, no, but come with me. We'll go on a journey and maybe you'll find your teacher on the way. It's pointless. You're sitting under the tree. You're nearly starving yourself. She was a young girl. You're nearly starving yourself. Come with me. Anyway, she went on this long journey and eventually found her teacher. And I told you, she plonked herself in a cave for 8 years. Could you? I don't think I could. Could you plonk yourself in a cave for 8 years? I don't think I could. I mean, even if I look at, you know, I became very friendly with, what's her name, who went in the cave for 12 years? Please remind me, because I've got too many things on my mind.
Tenzin
Palmer.
Yeah.
Tenzin Palmer, yeah, sorry. Tenzin Palmer came and stayed with me, you know, when she was in South Africa. So I really got to know her very, very well. But if you look at how she organized her cave, she made it beautiful. She made the cooking things. She made all the things. She was a Westerner after all. But these yogis don't organize their cave. They just sit. And some people bring them food every now and then and everything, and they sit until they get enlightened. We can't do that, okay? And we really, really do. But what you've got to, we really do maybe need to do that, but we're not going to do that. But yet we can still jump. If we have done a lot of that in previous lifetimes, you could still jump into it. So Samantabhadra, from the wisdom mind point of view, Samantabhadra is called your Buddha nature. It's not a person, it's not a Buddha, it's your Buddha nature. He manifests infinite Sambhogakaya Buddha fields arrayed in the vast expanse of space, like infinite lights, as numerous as atoms. And then from the state of the Dharmakaya enlightenment, and due to its blessing, compassion, and power, the Sambhogakaya Buddha fields manifest. But they can only be seen by dakas and dakinis, male and female bodhisattvas, yogins and yoginis, any beings attaining to the 1st to the 10th level bhumi. We're not there. If we were even the 1st level bhumi, we would be able to see the Sambhogakaya fields. Okay, we can't. And so then, because of that, from the Sambhogakaya Buddha field, Samantabhadra displays infinite near Manakaya emanations, e.g., Buddha Shakyamuni, who appear in the worldly realms of existence to benefit sentient beings. Just think of how it works. It's actually amazing when you really, really think of it. Okay. So just to go back to what we were saying, I haven't come to the new part yet. the Dharmakaya. You really need to have some understanding of the Dharmakaya. I just write it as DMK, and it's easy. Dharmakaya, your essence, your Buddha nature, your everything. And he always says, consider it as space. Space is forever. Look out of your window. Can you see the end of space? If you look at the sky, can you see the end of space? Never. It just goes on and on and on. But the Dharmakaya is like space. Space will remain with us in our sleep, in our lives, in our death. There'll always be space. But the true nature of Dharmata is like space, and we are never separate from that. But the empty, luminous Dharmata has always been with us in samsara from the time without beginning up to the present. But the key difference is that the nature of mind is not blank emptiness like ordinary space. It has the quality of luminosity, clarity. It's all in the emptiness, in the Dharmakaya, is that nature, luminosity, clarity, awareness, knowing. That's the difference between space and Dharmata, or space and Dharmakaya, that it's got all those qualities in it, okay? And he says there that all phenomena are always included within the wisdom mind of Dharmata. Dharmata, the great self-existing wisdom called Rangjung Yeshi Chenpo, is always present within us, but can be recognized through the pointing out instruction of the Guru. So that was what Lamalena wanted. She wanted the pointing out instruction, and she wasn't going to give up until she got the pointing out instruction. Think about that. And what's the pointing out instruction? If you've got faith, if you've got devotion, if you've got all of that, and the teacher comes in and the teacher sees this, okay, then those two come together, the blessing of the teacher and the faith and devotion of the disciple, and then you get that pointing out instruction. And then you go, oh my goodness, I don't know how I never realized this before. It's a dawning of wisdom. It's not a conceptual explanation of wisdom. It's a dawning. You suddenly wake up, okay, and you really realize that. But Samantabhadra's wisdom mind of Dharmata is neither confused nor tainted by the appearances of the world, okay? Never, okay? Within a blink of an eye, the wisdom mind of Samantabhadra can see everything within samsara and nirvana. Yet for us, the pure realms come to you now. The pure realms, for example, Samantabhadra's Akanishta Buddha field, and even this world, which is a pure realm of Buddha Shakyamuni, seems unimaginably vast and infinite. We have to practice to experience the wisdom mind for ourselves. Now, just to say to you, because I always take Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche to bring it in, and when you take Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, he says, you don't have trouble seeing this world. Do you have trouble seeing this, ugly world? No, it's spontaneous. From the minute you're little, you go, Mommy, what's that? Mommy, what's that? What's this dog? What's this table? What's this? And Mommy teaches you a label. You don't have trouble. It's spontaneous. But where did the spontaneous sight into the pure world leave us? Isn't the Garden of Eden one of the good stories, symbolic stories? We didn't get banished. You never get banished by anyone. We chose to take ourselves out and find a self. and misery ensued straight away. And from that, we could spontaneously see impure realms, but in exactly the same way, because from the essence come pure and what we see as impure. So now we have to take our mind back to seeing it as pure. Now just think about this. Sorry, Tati, please.
No, it's just something I don't know if it's possible to clarify. When we talk about knowledge, I know
Yeah.
it's like it's not knowledge as if go to get a degree. And also, I think you mentioned the other day about Vajradhara that is meant as knowledge holder. But what actually that means?
Such a good question. And we're coming on to the Vajradhara, which is translated as knowledge holder, as you've said. But you know what? I cannot understand why it isn't translated as wisdom holder. For me, that would actually make it understood. It's funny you should ask that, because sometimes our minds worked in the same way. Because you know what? I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a poor translation, because in our world, knowledge is something you read up and study and you get. Wisdom is something that dawns. Now, the Vajradhara have got the wisdom that dawns, so they should be called wisdom holders, not knowledge holders. Anyway, it's just a term, but it actually means those who have acquired the wisdom to actually understand the dawning of the wisdom as luminosity. They actually have it, the Vajradhara, which is very, very beautiful, Okay, but it's very interesting. I agree with you, okay? So Samantabhadra is fully awakened to his own awareness, and as a result, all that exists appears to him as the Akanishta Buddha field. We have the same awareness as him. We have Rigpa, but we don't recognize it, okay? So Buddha Samantabhadra shows us the path through his emanated wisdom forms, which appear in limited worlds. That's what Nosho Kempo's teaching says. He says, Buddha Samantabhadra appears as all different enlightened beings and teachers, and at the same time as he's doing that, he displays various pure realms suitable for training sentient beings. Isn't that amazing? So that's what I was saying in the beginning, what I understand about my teeny role. I always call myself the parrot, my teeny role, the parrot who tried to put out the fire from the ocean. And the parrot went and he got a little beak full of water and he went and tried to put it out, and another beak full of water and he put it out. Of course, he didn't put the fire out. So I regard myself as the parrot, just giving you little bits of water of what I've managed to understand. And some of you might really awaken long before me, because I'm on the same journey and maybe you might get it. But the thing about this stuff is, it's so fascinating, because he says, emanating in this way, we have all the three kaya pure realms of Samantabhadra, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. And he says, Dharmakaya Buddha fields, I'd love to visit a Dharmakaya Buddha field in my mind, are known as the pure realms of the luminous Vajra heart. The Sambhogakaya Buddha fields are known as the pure realms of Brahma's thundering drumbeat. And the Nirmanakaya Buddha fields are known as the eon of great Brahma, which encompasses all the possible Nirmanakaya pure realms. Now, Ede, I really think you should do some diagrams of this. I think if you sit in a lovely meditative things and do some diagrams of the different levels of Buddha field, they're not like that. They're in your mind, all the levels of your mind. Your mind has got so much depth. And think of the rubbish we spend most of our lives thinking about or doing. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, so he says, all Buddha fields of the three kayas share the same essence and are not separate, since all are included within the Dharmakaya Buddha field, just as three kayas contained within the Dharmakaya. Hence, the Buddha appearing in each pure realm is never separate from the Dharmakaya Samantabhadra. The Dharmakaya Buddha field Buddha is Samantabhadra. The Sambhogakaya Buddha field Buddha is Vajradhara. There you go with it, Tati. Buddha, the Vajradhara and the Buddhas of the five families, they're all on the Sambhogakaya level. The Nirmanakaya Buddha field Buddha is supreme Nirmanakaya, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni, never separate from Samantabhadra and Vajradhara, all enlightened in the Dharmakaya. So it all comes out of the essence. It's actually exquisite when you look at this. It really is. He says, so the pure realms of the three kayas encompass the entirety of all pure realms beyond measure, created through Samantabhadra's aspirational prayers and activity for the purpose of teaching, training, transforming, and liberating sentient beings. In these places and times, there appear the Buddha of the five families and all the possible deities of the five families, all of which are included in the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. Very interesting. The totality of all the limitless deities is inseparable from the wisdom mind of Samantabhadra. They're just a display called Ropa, an emanation of the inconceivable secret nature of Samantabhadra, his manifold skillful means through which beings are able to recognize their own awareness wisdom. In the same way as the process or repetition of display and emanation unfolds from Buddha Samantabhadra, every Buddha manifests pure realms within the worldly universes for the sake of liberating sentient beings. So when the Buddha was here, he emanated a pure realm. But why can't we see it? Don't you want to see the realm that the Buddha emanated? It's still here. We can't see it. We can only see this impure realm, and I'm sick and tired of the impure realm. The impure realm is really pure, okay? So we have to understand that infinite lights from space manifest manifold Nirmanakaya emanations and so on and so forth. They all come out. And he says all teachings in all realms are the continuous expression of the vast sphere of Samantabhadra's wisdom mind. That's what you need to remember. Through the blessings of this realization, all the Tantras and all the Mahayana arise. 6,400,000 principal stanzas of the Dzogchen Tantras, Karan, for you to decipher. The general Mahayana teachings, 84,000 sutras, etc. All left for us if you want to go and study them. Through practice, we come to realize the mind nature identical with Samantabhadra and to manifest realms without limit for sentient beings. So now I want to give you some little bit of the detail of the Sambhogakaya, but I would like to give you a little bit of the cosmology. Would you like it, or would you think we should leave it? Do you want to hear? Yes. Because when you hear the cosmology, you will die. Okay. Short summary. The basis is Dharma Dhatu, as I just told you. Out of this, the Sambhogakaya appears. The greater Sambhogakaya described as the fivefold immense ocean Buddhas. So at the Sambhogakaya level, you've got the five immense ocean Buddhas. Now, if you see where we are, just to give you an idea, you won't remember this, but just to give you an idea, 5 Buddhas. In the middle of the Buddhas, Buddha immense ocean Varashana. Note, he wrote, not Varashana, Buddha immense ocean Varashana. To the east, Buddha immense ocean Akshobhya. To the west, Buddha immense ocean Amitabha. And when I teach you Nosho Kempo's teaching on Amitabha and Devachan, you'll also faint. Because if you see how Amitabha got to Devachan, a place we can all go, and is it a Sambhogakaya Buddha field or is it a Nirmanakaya? I actually think it's both. I think he emanates both. Because I think, Corin, you can debate me on this, but we'll come to his teaching on Amitabha. To the south, Buddha immense ocean Ratnasambhava. To the north, Buddha immense ocean Amoghasiddhi. Okay. The size of these greater Sambhogakaya Buddhas, the Buddha immense ocean Varashana, on which our world system is. Now listen carefully. Holds in his hands, in a gesture of equanimity, a begging bowl of pure lapis. Within this is an immense ocean in his bowl. Within the ocean, a lotus tree grows and puts forth 25 fully opened lotus flowers. The 13th lotus flower is at the level of Buddha immense ocean Varashana. Okay, he's got all these levels, but listen, that's not all. And the 25th is at the top of his forehead. We ourselves, our world, are somewhere in the 13th lotus at his heart center. Now, in another teaching, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche says the reason we are allowed the Dzogchen teaching is because we are on the 13th level of the heart of Varashana. I just ponder that. This is not information that is given at a lot of levels. And just we're messing it up so badly. It'll all be taken away as it dissolves and gets taken away. So it's there. Okay, now listen, I'll just give you this little bit. We at the 13th level somewhere, this lotus has thousands of petals and hundreds of thousands of small anthers. Within each atom of each of these anthers are 1 billion universes. Now we're talking about one flower. In all of them, in each atom, in each of the anthers, which are thousands, are 1 billion universes. Never mind we go, oh, the universe has done this and the universe. It's much in the cosmology, okay? Each group being the sphere, each of the 1 billion universes is the sphere of one supreme Nirmanakaya Buddha. One. So the influence of each of the 1,000 Buddhas of this eon is only one of the particles within the thousands of places within one of these lotuses. Look, it's mind-boggling. And Yeshe Tsogyal fainted when Guru Rinpoche gave it to you. So what's we got to do? But just to give you an idea, also in each pore in the Buddha, in the body of Buddha immense ocean Varashana, in each pore of his body, there are 1 billion world systems. 1 billion world systems. Okay. And he is only one of the great Sambhogakaya Buddhas. We see immense dimensions involved, plus a difference between the sphere of a Nirmanakaya Buddha and a Sambhogakaya Buddha. And once Yeshe Tsogyal asked Guru Rinpoche to show her what this looked like, and he said, you know what, Yeshe Tsogyal, I'll show you a fraction of the influence under Buddha Shakyamuni, and she fainted. Okay. So you could all faint if you want. So within these immense ocean Buddhas is unaccountable number of billion-fold universes of near-Manakaya Buddhas. In each of these countless billions of near-Manakayas appear. Wherever the opportunity for anyone to be influenced, countless billions of near-Manakayas appear. Emanations manifest in whatever way or form is necessary for one Buddha. The other worlds don't necessarily exist in the same way. While one universe of a world system is being formed, another might be dissolving, and a third is in the middle of existing. You look tired. Just to get a hint of the extent of world system. One world system, and we're talking about a billion, one world system begins with 18 hell realms at the bottom of 6 classes of sentient being in the desire realm, 16 abodes of the realms of form, and 4 spheres of formless realms of infinite perception. Multiply that by 1,000 times, and it's called a 1,000-fold world system, or first order world system. If you count these 1,000 as a single unit, multiply them 1,000 times a second order world system. 1 million, if you take that and multiply it 1,000 times, you have a third world order system, which is 1 billion, called the billion-fold universe. And I told you, it said, when you're making a call, I always called for Ekon Rinpoche in the 100-world universe, you know. I mean, he says, call it for the billion-fold, and on and on and on. And he says, because we are at the heart, so we get that. And sentient beings can be enlightened because samsara and nirvana are pervaded by the 3 kayas. All worlds and beings dissolve and unfold within the sphere of the 3 kayas. Thus, everything is originally and still utterly pure. Just to give you an idea, it exhausts me even talking about it. But I really want you to just have an idea as you don't have to remember that, but just try and remember the complexity of all of this. Then the next Buddha will come, near Manakaya Buddha, which will be Lord Maitreya, and then there'll be another billion-fold universe, you know, world system on his I mean, it's mind-boggling. And they say that when he comes, these higher teachings will not be available because man has got to learn Maitri. That's what he represents, which is loving kindness. They won't get these very high teaching. So what I'm saying to you, if some of you are thinking that in another number of lifetimes, you might try and get this, don't, because there won't be time. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? Quite a bit for us. Okay? So I just want to give you one little thing, then we'll do a meditation, and you really are free to ask questions. But just listen, I'm giving this today because it's really important for us to stop thinking of ourselves as big deals, you know, that we've got everything. I mean, we are so irrelevant in the scheme of things with the millions and billions of sentient beings on every universal level. And it's not to frighten us. It's just to surrender the ego of this little being, which is absolutely nothing, you know? Karen, are you there? Are you listening? Are you saying anything, Karen?
I'm listening to every word.
And what's your feed? Give us some of your feed.
I don't know. I think Amitabha is a Dharmakaya Buddha.
Of course. But he actually will get that later because he's given a beautiful teaching, or next time. He's really given a beautiful teaching on exactly how Amitabha emanates. So, of course, Guru Rinpoche and Chen Rezi are just, the 2 other bodies, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya, are called Rupakaya together, Rupakaya. Okay, they're called Rupakaya. And it's really important because they're both emanations. And Sambhogakaya Buddha fields from the Dharmakaya come because of the blessings, compassions, and power of that state of enlightenment. Boundless arrays like lights through infinite space for all those who've actually achieved that. They must have reached the third or fourth of the 5 paths. What are the 5 paths? Accumulating, that's when you accumulate merit and wisdom and everything. Unification or joining. Seeing, when you come to seeing in Mahamudra, that's when you really are able to see things. Meditation and no more learning. So you've got to get to the 3rd or 4th of those. Now just let me explain quickly, and then we'll do the meditation. That within the Sambhogakaya Buddha fields are the 5 Buddha families and their entourages in the Sambhogakaya. And what they have in a Sambhogakaya, and I'll read this a lot because it's in some of my prayers that I've photocopied from Dajjal Rinpoche's book and things like that. So you begin to understand it. There are 5 certainties that happen in a Sambhogakaya Buddha field, just to give you an idea. And those of you who are more adventurous like you, Tati, you must ask, please, to be taken by someone and visit the Sambhogakaya Buddha field so you can see how it operates. Okay. You can do it in your sleep state if you really, really, really want to, guys. Okay. But now, what are the 5 certainties? As opposed to a near Manakaya Buddha field, it's called the 5 uncertainties. Now, why do you think it's called the 5 uncertainties, where the Sambhogakaya Buddha field is called the 5 certainties? Come on, tell me before I tell you. Why is one called the 5 certainties and one's called the 5 uncertainties? Come on, one of you answer. Karen, you answer. Why is one called the 5 certainties and one's called the 5 uncertainties? Give me your ideas. Throw forward your ideas. Don't be shy. I mean, none of us know anything about this. I'm teaching you Nosho Khenpo's stuff. And, you know, you're gonna ponder this, go in your sleep state, have little experiences of seeing the world as it really is. Whew, it's getting hot. I'm getting hot because I'm teaching this. Okay. Come on, Tatiana. Why is one called the certainties and one's called the uncertainties? Come on, Mimi. David Hawker, come on. I want to see you. Do you want to try? Yeah, Bern, try.
Would it be the doubts that we always have? Not.
Yeah, carry on.
So I would look at it as the things that we don't trust in ourselves. So it's not doubting the obvious.
Very good. You're doing it beautifully, a very good answer, and you can take that further. So the uncertainty is dependent on your ability to see it. So why it's called, I'll teach you next time about the 5 uncertainties of the near Manakaya Buddha fields, because I even know when you think of Guru Rinpoche's Buddha field, the copper-colored mountain, which I taught you about, I mean, I read things about it, and some of them are about the scary parts that are around and everything, and some of them are beautiful. Whereas if you read about a Sambhogakaya Buddha field, it's all beautiful. The uncertainty is because of the uncertainty in our minds, Bern, and well done for thinking that out. It shows you really are thinking well. You're considering well, because let's be perfectly honest. How can there be certainty when every single person is at a different level and understands a different thing on the near Manakaya level? So when the Buddha was teaching, from his enlightenment, he could teach. And if you had that ability, you could understand, but it certainly wasn't certain. Very good. Tati?
No, just thinking that in other words, that I would imagine that the uncertainties relates to our dualistic perception, and the certainties is the connection with wisdom, and obviously
Absolutely.
stripping of the poisons that we have, transforming the poisons into the 5 wisdoms.
Excellent. Excellent. And I like you to ponder this, guys, because I like you to ponder this so that you can see it in your own self. Very good. Really good. So what are the 5 certainties? Let me give them in the Sambucakai level. First of all, the perfect place. So it's called Ganavui Viyuha Akanishta, which is translated unexcelled abundance. Arrayed Buddha field displays infinite abundance of the manifestations of spiritual qualities of enlightenment, not the same level as the Akanishta as the Dharmakaya Buddha field of Sambhogakaya, of Samantabhadra, which can be perceived only by 10th level bodhisattvas. So I've got the most beautiful teaching on the Dharmakaya Buddha field and the Sambhogakaya Buddha field, but the place is perfect. Now let's look at 2 things here, which is very interesting. The place is perfect. Now, if you look at the description of the Garden of Eden, so somewhere the religions caught a portion of this, because they talked about, oh, God created man, which is just their own dualistic mind. God didn't create man. The essence has got creation in it. It creates of itself, not some being who creates us. So then it goes to, okay, now they're in the Garden of Eden and they've got everything. That's a Buddha field, a Sambhogakaya Buddha field that's got everything. Okay, but what they do is they say they ate of the fruit of life so they can keep you like that. That's also garbage. They didn't eat of the fruit of life. They suddenly decided on a me, an I. And so that I started separating them from the vision of this pure land. And now it describes in the Bible that they're outside of the pure land. They're looking at each other and they're naked. They've exposed themselves. Such an interesting symbolic story, don't you think? Don't you think it's interesting? Because it's there. That's what it is. And the 5 certainties are the perfect place, the perfect form of the teacher, number 2, Sambhogakaya Buddha with all the marks and signs, like Buddha Vajradhara, one of the 5 Buddha families, the perfect entourage, the perfect Sangha. What does that mean? It means that the Sangha, because I read it all the time in my prayers, Dajjal Rinpoche's prayers, because the Sangha are just the creation of the Buddha's mind. So the Sangha sit around and they ask questions in inverted commas. Let's see if higher teachings are unavailable. Oh, let me see what you say. They ask questions and they are unavailable. What does that mean? I'll talk about that for sure, because it's very interesting, okay? But you know what I want to say is that the perfect entourage, they're not ordinary sentient beings. They're the creation out of the Vajradhara's mind. But then you'd say, but then what are they doing there? If they're part of him, they're already enlightened. Sure, they're already enlightened. But they ask questions. Why? Because everything is done to benefit sentient beings. So they ask the questions, they already know the answers, and then the Buddha answers them. And then they come down to us. So now I'm reading their questions. So for example, there's something called Vajra laughter. That comes out of a question from the beautiful Sambhogakaya Buddha field that he answers in the most beautiful way. And he goes, ha ha, you all think that things are real and permanent. Ha ha, they're not. Ha ha, the ha ha is called Vajra laughter. I want to give it tomorrow in that teaching because it's really unbelievable, because they're asking questions. They don't need the answers, but we do. So beautiful beings like Dajjam Rinpoche, Dilgoki, and so go to that field, and then they come back and then they write poetry. Then someone like Melanie finds it and copies it and puts it into my daily book so that I say it every day. So I'm listening to their questions all the time. They're so exquisite. Perfect entourage, perfect teaching, the ultimate meaning, not just the relative, and perfect time. No interruption or sensation or ongoing continuum of eternity. It just continues until samsara is exhausted. Now look at me. I'm exhausted after I'm finished with you. And then I've got to go and pack my house up and everything. But they don't get exhausted because they're not teaching it from a human point of view. I've got to go and look it up, write it all out for you. And so I said to Guru Rinpoche, when I'm packing all my suitcases and everything, I said, listen, by the time I get to the copper-colored mountain, as Karen asked me, she says, don't look in your notes. Just let it be taught. Let it all be in me and let it just be taught naturally without thinking. Because Buddha Shakyamuni said, I was not aware of teaching a word during the 80 years that I taught. I didn't even know. It just taught through me. It's so exciting. Now, the Dharmakaya Buddha field, I'm coming to your question, I come to yours after. Just let me finish this, otherwise I lose the trend of thought. The Dharmakaya Buddha field, which is so amazing, is actually taught in, just hang on. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's taught in that beautiful, beautiful book by, what's his name again? Just let me get it all for you. Too many things going on in my life. By Tulku Thondup. If you find any books by Tulku Thondup, trust me, they're good books. He is amazing. Okay, and he writes this book, The Masters of Meditation and Miracles. That is a book that will stir you of the life stories of these great masters. The most beautiful book. I'm sure you've read it, Karen. So I photocopy out of that book, and he gives the Dharmakaya Buddha field, which Nosho Khenpo doesn't give. In the Dharmakaya Buddha field, as opposed to the Sambhogakaya, also, of course, certainties, but they're not, there's nothing manifests. So there is Samantabhadra, the teacher, there is the entourage, which is his emanation, but there are no words. No words. Everybody understands, everybody responds, everybody gets it. And he says, the place, the ultimate sphere, the pure land of the body of the youth within a vase. Now you're all going to go, oh, what's that? Too complex now, but you know, when you attain enlightenment, you get the youthful vase body. And that's what he's talking about. The teacher, Samantabhadra, great self-awareness, the primordial wisdom of evenness, such a disciples, the ocean-like assembly of primordial wisdoms, time, changeless time, suchness, which is emptiness, the teaching, the absolute Dzogpa Chenpo, the doctrine of the uncreated body, speech, and mind. So Karen is going to go in her sleep state and visit a Dharmakaya, pure Buddha field. Then she's going to come back and teach us. Okay, Karen? No nonsense from you. at least a Sambhogakaya Buddha feel. It's so amazing. Now, let me just go to your question. Gail, my little Gail. Okay, that's interesting. Diamond Sutra. If higher teachings are unavailable to sentient beings when Maitreya comes, what does that mean to sentient beings? It means bloody get it now. Okay, that's what it means. Because it's going to go to such an age of degeneration that they can't possibly, what happens with that is the Dharma protectors take this stupendous teaching and they take it to a Sambhogakaya or Dharmakaya level. It's not allowed down here. Now, Guru Rinpoche has allowed it now because he says in this age of degeneration, the Dzogpa Chenpo, the Dzogchen teachings will blaze like wildfire. Why? Because the very degeneration, if you see it as it is the enlightenment. So the degeneration becomes the enlightenment burning so bright, but when it comes to the end of the age of degeneration, then comes Maitreya, who's preparing now to come in, and he does a thing different probably, but he does all those points like Buddha Shakyamuni. And what does he teach? Maitri, loving kindness. Isn't it about bloody time we learned loving kindness? We can't go to those high teachings, but those who are here when Maitreya comes, who have the awareness developed in them, they will be able to be taken to those levels and get this teaching. But I've got news for you. Don't waste this time. This is why these great masters are giving their teaching, because it's really important. Sorry, Tati, you wanted to ask something.
No, I just wanted to say this Diamond Sutra is a very nice example where you're talking about answers and
Good.
questions. I just shared the link of it's very,
Good.
very good.
Divine. And send it to me on my WhatsApp, will you?
Okay.
But that's very good. But what I want to tell all of you is, you don't know, and it's interesting this morning because look how few there are of you. I know a lot will go and get it, but to me, you know, this is my training for Guru Rinpoche. When my husband says to me, but what are you doing with all these studies and all these notes? What are you doing? And I said to him, what you're not understanding and never will be able to understand is, this is just a little rehearsal for me to see if I can take stuff and try and translate it in a way for people, you know, in some way to translate it. Now, there are millions of much better translators than I am, I assure you, but that's my training. When I came back to Guru Rinpoche, that was my training, to get it right, to get it understood and transmitted into terms that people can understand. And this Buddhism versus Western psychology, I can't tell you what's developing in my mind while I'm packing everything at the same time. And all these things are coming into my mind, you know. Oh, okay, I'm going to look. But all these things are really coming into my mind because that night teaching on a Tuesday, I must give it for samsaric teaching. And Tatiana showed me another girl who's doing the psychology of Tantra under La Milena, the Western psychology of Tantra, which should be a very interesting series. She's also doing it. But we've got to learn to take the psychology of the West, of the psyche, and transcribe it into terms that people can understand, saying, and that was what my experience was in the early morning, don't stick at the psyche with all your psychological wounds and stuff. Go deeper or higher, whichever you want to call it, to the Alaya consciousness, which is the substrate, and see how you created all these things on your stage of life. And then when you've gone there, go higher or lower, whichever you want to look at it, to your primordial consciousness, which is not affected by this at all. Now, I need to put that across, and I'm going to do it, and I hope lots of people can understand from that. You'll see. You've got to get data so you can listen. You are the universe pretending to be a bird. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Just let's do a little meditation. Listen, I've got a lot of stuff here. Let's just do a little meditation before you go. This is difficult, but please don't be despondent if it's hard for you to get, because you will be led to a lot of teaching that can explain it the same as I have. You know, when I look at all my notes, like I want to give you hours and hours and hours to be able to express it in terms of its worth. But that's not happening for me now. I've just got to give it in a way. And if you don't get it or you think it's strange, don't worry, because it'll come again and it'll be shown to you and it'll be given to you and you'll find the right teaching. And a lot of these teachers are absolutely amazing. And David, I want you also, just let's see what you've put. I want you also, oh, you gave that. That's beautiful. I didn't know you. I thought, Bern, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You are the universe pretending to be such a brilliant thing. And David, you gave me a sheet that I've rolled up that is in my cupboard here. It's going to my new thing. I want you to make a photo, a copy of that so that everyone in the group can get it, because it really explains samsara and the wheel of life and this and that and the other. David gave it to me as a gift and it's beautiful. It's rolled up. I don't know how to put it onto here, but you could, I'm absolutely sure. Please do, because you get very useful things in all his retreats. When he goes all over the world, he gets amazing things. But just let's do a tiny meditation and I'll end. Just a breath, everybody. Okay, just a breath. A deep breath. This is very difficult teaching for us. And the only way you can work with this is to actually just contemplate. Like I do, I sit in my room. You build up an energy vibration in your room. You make a beautiful space where the dakinis can come in before you go there. If you do your practice on a regular basis in the same place, you've got a little shrine, you can just have a little Buddha, a little candle, a little incense, and you do it in the same place. The dakinis and dharma protectors go to that place and they actually make it possible for you to understand lots of things, but not unless you do it on a regular basis. If you do occasional practice, it won't work. So what I'm saying to you today is, breathe into your Dharmakaya, a deep, deep breath, like the sky, like space. But inside the space is awareness, little bits of awareness, absolute awareness, absolute clarity, knowing, absolute luminosity, the most exquisite colors you cannot even see on this dimension. Breathe it into your being. And when you breathe out, let everything be in your lives, even me, Melanie. Let this whole move go. what I've wanted for my house is to have a whole mandala of offering to Guru Rinpoche. And those of you that are in Johannesburg, I really want you to come and visit there to feel it, because I'm going to collect all the energy from here and from before and put it into this room. And that's where I'm going to teach you. You do the same, letting be all those things you're hanging on to, your problems, your angers, your grudges, your feeling of I'll never get it, because you will, because it's already there before you start. All your things, let them just dissolve back into your absolute essence called Dharmakaya. When Dharmakaya expresses itself, it is pure, pure luminosity, pure teaching, pure everything. But if you're going through a really hard time, that impurity has got to be seen in a completely, completely different way. Completely. And then once you can do that, it's amazing. You can see absolutely everything as pure. That's what we're training ourselves. So look again at all the negative things in your life and see them as temporary, transient drama of your life. And really let them dissolve into the essence of who you are, the Dharmakaya. From the Dharmakaya Samanta Bhadra, but it's not a being, it's not a person, it's the pure space of Dharmata with the awareness. And from that comes the Rupakaya, the Sambhogakaya, which has got the 5 certainties. And when you read, when you come across beings like Dajjal Rinpoche and Dilgo Gyatso Rinpoche, they give you their dreams into the Sambhogakaya and the conversations that happen in these Sambhogakaya Buddha fields. Read them with enthusiasm and know that teaching is for you, for no other purpose. They are already enlightened, and so is your essence, Samanta Bhadra. But you're listening, you're getting this teaching to help you to go quickly, and go quickly. Actually, don't say, I'm in a hurry to gain enlightenment, but I'm standing still, observing, looking at that exquisite essence of mine. And from it, everything can manifest through my body, not from me, through me. And whatever you're going through, really understand that and let it happen. None of you will say, this is too much, I can't really understand it. You'll say, this is fascinating. Now I need to sit and just ponder it all. Read up in Tulku Tundram, read up in Tulku Urgent Rinpoche. Read the cosmology. Really comes with everything that we need. Read it up and see. Never see yourselves as limited beings, because you spoil what you've got inside you. So let's dedicate for all sentient beings, all of them going through these terrible times. May they awaken. It's very interesting, all of you, because I read and study a lot on Israel and what's going on. Now, it's so interesting when you listen to different people's viewpoints, because some come on and they explain exactly what's happening and I can get it. And then others come with their critical evaluation and I can get it too. But I know that when you are looking with a biased mind, you can't see the truth of what's happening. You can't see it. And I listened to somebody, just as an example, I listened to somebody yesterday who said, none of you, nobody, everybody's just condemning what Israel's done, which is true. Some of the things they've done seem awful, but nobody talks about how Hamas has built these terror underground things under hospitals, children's schools, places of learning and everything. And why have they done that? No one questions it. They just question the bombing of that institution without seeing the truth. Now, all of these things, I'm not saying anything's good or bad, we're going beyond it, but all of these things must be seen with wisdom of discernment, not with a biased mind. And that's what all of you have got to do in this world. It's really important. So we dedicate for all the people suffering and all the people going through hell and terrible things and torture and poverty and starvation and everything. And if any of that can come to help them, we really pray that it can. And through this merit, may all beings attain omniscience, may all obscurations fall away from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may all beings be freed. Sonam die tabje zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jegana ji balap tropaye sipe sole doa dro warsho.